Good morning, Liran Hirschkorn.
Hello, good morning. Sorry.
So good to see you. It was only fitting that you would be my last guest for 2020.
Well, they say you save the best for last. So
Exactly what they say, which is why I wanted to bring you on as my last guest. I didn't want to miss out on all the Liran goodness for
I
this
mean, I don't know who is the they that says you save the best for last, but somebody says you save the best for last.
So somebody says it, and they're usually right. So I'm so glad to have you. Me and you have a long history in business and in friendship. So I said, who's the best person that could close a year that's very similar to me, has similar mindset, and is very go-getter. So your name just randomly came up. So I'm glad you accepted. How are you doing, my dear friend?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's been nice to see you hosting these episodes on Monday and doing a great job with it. So I'm excited to be here.
You're very sweet. Yeah, thank you, Danny McMillan. If you're watching, thank you for giving me this opportunity. For sure, that I get to talk to people that I really admire and love. So but I wanted to talk to you today. Just like go back through 2020 and see what are some awesome things that happen, maybe some not so awesome things. And in my opinion, overall, I think it was a great year, despite everything else. But I'd like to hear from you. What are tell me the highlights of this year for you?
Great question. So I think overall it's actually been a really positive year. Even when I look back at the challenges, that I've had, every time I look back at the challenges and reflect on them, then I'm like, actually it was a good thing that the challenge happened, right? Like something positive came out of it. And so even when I look back at the challenges that have happened this year, all of them turned out to result in positive things, every step of the way. So overall 2020 was a great year. I've had a lot of growth in my business this year. We have a team that we've grown from 4 to 30 plus this year, and a lot of exciting things that I'm working on. So overall really good year, and very excited about 2021 and what we look forward to. And a lot of things. Even today, actually, I was supposed to have somebody new start in my company, and just this past over the weekend, she emailed and she said, her existing company made her a better offer and she decided to stay. And as I kind of thought about it, like, actually, like looking back at it, it is probably like meant to be, and it's the right thing, because this was actually like a very high level role and like the most expensive person that I hired in my company. And looking back, I'm like, okay, well, I think there's better ways that I can potentially use that money in my business to do something else with it. And like, again, every sort of challenge, just I think, or what you think might be a setback actually is not a setback.
I love that. Yeah, that's I feel like that's like the theme of this year, right? Doesn't it feel like this? Like the year started and then we had no idea what the hell was going on. And it ended up like looking back, just all the things that we were kind of forced to do, like sit down and look into our business and see what works, see what doesn't work, even though it was hard for me, especially because I'm a social butterfly and so are you. So for me it was very hard to kind of sit down and look at like the nasty things I didn't want to look at, like, create this project or work on the procedures, things that for me it's not innate. So but I had to sit down and do it, and because of that I feel like next year is going to result in much bigger success. And I don't know if that's the same for you, but we were talking, me and you, about employees a lot, right? And it's great you mentioned that, because I feel like I don't know, maybe it's in my head, but I felt like this whole year, like I was going to be able to hire a lot more. Like people are losing their jobs, and they want to start something online. Do you feel like it's been harder to hire somehow this year, or is just my imagination? And
Uh,
why do you think that is?
yeah, I mean, hiring has been challenging. I think partly because digital has blown up so much, right? Like there's been just so much demand for people who are really good and know what they're doing, that, in the digital world, whether it's, e-commerce or just any sort of online digital marketing. I think there's been a tremendous amount of demand and more competition for hiring those type of people who are really good. So I think from that standpoint, it's been a challenge. I mean, for me, hiring has been one of the has been one of the bottlenecks in terms of growth. If I could take the top people in my company and clone them, I would have a bigger business. But unfortunately, it's not necessarily possible. So yeah, hiring has been a challenge. And I think from an employee standpoint, I think for people looking for work, depending on where they're located, it's also a challenge because, I think today, I live in New York, you're in California. I've interviewed people in New York and California who I think are at a huge disadvantage, because when I interview somebody in Florida or Austin or maybe Romania or Serbia or another country, they can be just as good but take less money than somebody who has a cost of living in New York and California. And sometimes I'll interview those people, and their kind of requirements are significantly higher than what I can do somewhere else. And I think from that standpoint, that's also challenging. And I think you're going to see shifts of people, moving, etc., as like you no longer need to be in LA, to go to an office, right? You can work remote. And why people from California are going to Austin, and like all the kind of movements. I think you're going to continue to see that. But yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely been, for me, it's been a challenge in terms of growing, hiring. But I've also hired a tremendous amount of people this year. So like, I think it's
What's the total? What are you at now?
over 30 in terms of like that are on my team. Like some in the U.S., some outside the U.S. Contractors, employees. But
Do you have a number in mind, like where you're gonna stop, or are you going to Bezos this and like take over the world?
Well,
What is
yeah, I mean, there's no number. I mean, obviously, the sky's the limit, but you have to do it. You have to do it, systematically, and also like the amount of people that I can hire at any given time is also limited, because I also have limited amount of people in my company that can train, and mentor and stuff. So like, so yeah, all of that is, is part of the challenges of growing a business. So
Is this the biggest change you've done this year, or are there some that we are not aware of?
I mean, that's the biggest thing. There's things that I'm working on, that are in the works. One of the big changes this year is that, we were doing up until for most of the year, we were focused only on Amazon advertising management. And then a few months ago, we started to take on full brand management. So now we have 6 brands that we're basically managing everything for them on Amazon. And so that's been another change and another area of like focus and growth, and where I see 2021. And yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that that is potentially in the works to also have more equity in brands besides from just managing them. And some things that may happen in the first quarter, if they pan out to be that could be that again, it's a risk. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but that could be in terms of some partnerships, in terms of like acquiring brands and also growing them and using sort of the team that I have to be able to run the brands. We've also acquired, you could say, a brand. It's a listing with 3 variations. It's a listing. My agency essentially just acquired that has done one product that did close to 400,000 this year, that we acquired, that we're going to look to grow in 2021 and maybe flip it or maybe add on more to that brand. So that's something we're kind of taking over now and looking.
Are you doing it as a case study or just more for yourself and just?
Yeah. So basically, this was my COO's brand, and he was looking to sell it, and he had some stock outs and some Amazon charging him oversized fees on his product, and then he made some changes to it to lower it to standard size, and so he wasn't going to be able to get what it's really worth. So my agency essentially acquired it, and we'll also use it as a case study to I think I'm going to sort of record what we do to this listing, to this brand, and how we kind of transform it into greater sales. And again, maybe we'll flip it in a year, or maybe we'll add more products to the brand. But yeah, I want to take it on also to showcase a case study of like basically like revamping the listing, adding some things to be able to grow the reviews, push the ranking, and how we kind of take this brand that maybe today has a value, or listing today that maybe has a value of 50,000, and turn it into something that maybe is worth 150,000 in a year. And yeah, maybe we flip it a year from now. So so that should be kind of fun, because I like working on the creative side of the Amazon. I think, like you also, like the operational side and the system side is not my favorite thing, but the creative side and the growth and the marketing side is what I really like. So this kind of gives me an opportunity to work on that.
Have you ever taken the Kolbe test?
It's possible. I don't know offhand what my score is, but I know that you must be very proud of your Kolbe test, because
no, I don't. That's the thing. I just took it, and because some people got me into it, and I don't necessarily know what would want to be proud of. It's just a test. Like, it doesn't actually, I don't think it measures like how smart you are or anything. It's just what you're better at.
Yes. The reason why I know that you must be proud of your Kolbe score is your Clubhouse profile lists your Kolbe number.
I was going to get to that. You took it one step ahead of me. I was going to talk to you about Clubhouse a little bit. So, okay. So when I created my Clubhouse profile, I was kind of like,
you have a very good Clubhouse profile.
Really? Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, I was looking what the other cool cats were doing, and I kind of like, okay, this, and so many people have asked me about the Kolbe test on Clubhouse, and I was like, is this like some type of requirement or something? So I just took it, and it only came to my mind because you said you're more of a visionary and marketer and all this. So Kolbe test, it kind of gives you that sense of like, what are you good at? So like for me, integrator is like 1, like 2 or 2, like the lowest you can possibly get. Mm-hmm. But, when it comes to like the creative side and starting fast, that's one of the things. Like, you start things very fast, but it's very hard for me to see them through. Like, I want to, have like 10 business ideas and I'll start them, but then I don't want to do the work for it. So, but that's why I'm very curious what yours would be. And I feel like
the same.
I feel like yours would be very, very similar. You should take it today and let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it. We'll follow up. I think, and I think what's really helped me is having somebody in my business that is the integrator. And I one of the things that I've learned in the last year is that really every business needs a visionary and it needs a builder. And I don't think one, I'd like to think that visionary is the cool one, and the one that's, like great, like I'm the visionary, but I think they're both equally important, because without
seriously, Liran, only you would say this in front of like thousands of people. I think I'm the cool one, but hey, if you're an integrator, that's fine.
No, but the reality is that it's not the case. The reality is that they're both equally important, and you need somebody to kind of have the vision of what you want to create, and then you need somebody who can be able to implement the steps and the systems around it. And probably the missing piece for you is that integrator component in your business.
Wow. Don't mind me, just put my business out there,
Yeah, I mean, sure. this is what makes for a good episode.
Exactly. And
nobody's watching.
And because of our friendship is so strong, I'll make sure to let you know ahead of time what to say and what not to say on interviews. I would appreciate that. But let's talk about Clubhouse. How insanely amazing this app is. What do you think so far?
So let's talk about it for those that don't know.
Actually, before we do that, you know what? Let's see. Some people commented on what we were talking before, and I don't want to miss it. Mo said, yes, many people from Pakistan got hired. Even my team is also working for people in US, because here we have a lot of talent, but a very affordable price.
Yeah. I just hired, just hired a guy who's got he took his master's degree in Germany, and he's in Pakistan. We just hired a couple people there. We do have some people in the Philippines as well. And then we have the majority of my team is in US, Canada, Europe. But I guess there's talented, smart people all over the world.
I agree, especially in Romania, I've heard.
Yeah, I have 2 people on my team in Romania.
I know you do.
And they're both great.
Joe said COVID test, or was the test name? I think we were talking about the Colby test, right?
I'm confused with COVID test.
It's a KOLBE, Colby test. Looking energetic, more visionary in 2021. That's right. Joe says, I love that, Liran. Every business needs a visionary and a builder. Dare I say doers as well to execute. That is true. And that's the thing.
That's the thing. 5 dots.
Okay, so let's get back to the main subject. So Clubhouse. Tell me your first initial thought. Not now, not after you've been on it for a while. What were you thinking?
When I first joined it? Yes. I mean, I didn't really, it takes a little bit of time to understand exactly what it is and kind of try to understand how to think about it. I think we need to explain things to ourselves to make sense. So initially I didn't really fully understand how it works. And exactly what it was about, but I was intrigued. I think one of the things you'll find about it is that when some stats come out about Clubhouse, the most interesting stat I think that will make the company very valuable is that probably they'll find that the average person somebody spends on Clubhouse is 2 hours a day, and the average person somebody's on Instagram or Facebook is 35 minutes a day or something, right? Except for us, who kind of live a lot on social media and probably are 4x all those times anyway. But I think that's definitely a part of it. But I really so let's give a kind of an explanation for those that don't know. Suddenly, actually, suddenly in the last week, this thing like Clubhouse popped on my in my sort of people's stories and stuff on Facebook. I started seeing Clubhouse and joining it, and so I went to download this app, and then immediately after downloading it, I got somebody who was already in my phone contacts list kind of approved me into it. So it's either invite, each member gets an invite, or if you're in somebody's phone contact list, they can kind of approve you in. So I would say download it, because chances are somebody on your contacts list is in there and will approve you, and you don't need to each person only has one invite, but you can approve as many people. So what this app is,
don't do what I did. I went to Reddit and I bought myself an invite because you don't know.
Oh, you paid for an invite? That's great.
Yes. Well, I did it because nobody had invites at that time. And you know me, if I want something, I have to go get it. So I just went to Reddit and everybody was selling it for like $100. And I found this guy. I said, I'll give you 25.
That's such a good business. And then would be like, hey, let me put my phone number in your let me put my phone number in your phone so he doesn't give up an invite. Yeah.
So I gave him 25, but he could have just blocked me or not send it to me. So right. I would not recommend you do this. But like Liran was saying, download the app, secure your name or whatever it's called, and then somebody in your contact list will get notified and they'll be able to invite you. So I was able to invite like 4 people this way, but you don't get to pick who it is, guys. So I know a lot of people are like, how do I get an invite? Can you invite me? You only get one. So, and I think they make it so exclusive to make it desirable. Like you see somebody talking about it and now everybody wants in. So go ahead.
Well, and actually, don't make the mistake I did because I have a pending invite, which is so stupid and embarrassing. So like I subscribe to Gary Vee has like a community texting, and so I have his phone number with Gary Vee is in my phone under his community. It's obviously not his real phone number. So I see like people you can invite, like Gary Vee.
You're very smart to think of that, though.
I'll be the first one to invite Gary Vee, and then I'll show up like under his name or whatever. Maybe he'll send me a text back. So now I just have a pending invite. He's already in there. It's his community number and not his real number. And now my pending invite is just sitting there as a pending invite, and I can't use it for anybody else.
But I love the initiative. I was thinking the same. Like, who can you invite? But of course, I give it to my brother, who's not even using it. He's just like,
you should have sold it to him.
I should have. You know what? I'm going to go and ask him for money for it. He has to pay me at least 4 times the amount that I paid for mine. But yeah, so for me, I really wanted to get in. Like, I'm not going to wait around and ask for people. I was like, let me just see what this thing is. And it's definitely very addicting for those who really love this kind of things. Like, they want to make sure they don't miss out on anything. 1, 2, when it comes to knowledge, there's just so much knowledge shared by this like super high level people. So like last night before I went to sleep, I was in this room. They're called rooms, and then I'll let you explain more how this works. But I was in a room with like Soldier Boy was in it.
Oh yeah.
At the same time, like a lot of like Amazon people, and then you have Perry Belcher who owns the War Room. So it was such an interesting mix, right? Because I felt like it was like the bridge between the worlds. This app is literally the bridge between the worlds. Because when the room ended and everybody was like, "Oh, thank you," like even Soldier Boy was like, "Thank you guys so much." Like what a great value. Because you think of all these rappers, they just make money and spend it on, drugs or something. But this guy was there. I was going to say more, but I'll stop at drugs. But he was there. He was there, and then he was so appreciative of like this people giving all this value, and and I feel like all these people want to share so much because they want to attract the following, and they want people to know that they're like almost like the founders, and
human beings are social creatures, right? We want to, and especially right now, everyone's like home. It is really great. I was in the same chat, and so let me step back and kind of explain a little bit what I didn't really understand early and like how I see it now. So the way I see it now is when you follow somebody in your feed, you'll see sort of, think about your feed as like a hallway, okay? And like you're attending a big conference in Vegas, and there's rooms, right, with all different topics. Bring us back to 2019, So you're attending essentially a conference, and there's a hallway, and each room has a different speaker and topics, and actually a stage, right? And somebody can create a room, and they can bring other people up to the stage to kind of talk to, and then there's an audience who can listen. An audience member can click a button and kind of raise their hand, and one of the speakers, if they want to, can bring them up on the stage to ask a question, to talk, or whatever, and you can kind of create this dialogue. So as you follow people, your feed will show kind of the different rooms the people that you follow are in, and then you can click on a topic and go in, and the topics are very diverse. Clubhouse, from what I learned, started out in the music industry, like in Atlanta. So there's a lot of people like from the music industry that are in there. In fact, I think right now it's like 60% African American because of that. So it's like you said, it bridging a world. It's a very diverse group of people, which is kind of cool. We were talking about, I was in a room talking about Amazon, and there were people that would never be in any of the Facebook groups or like watching this, but kind of stumbled upon this because somebody they know is in a room or whatever, and like they're discovering these topics. So it's kind of like a way to discover groups without actually seeking them out, or discover topics without seeking them out. And then you can choose a room. You can go in there, and yeah, yesterday, Dan Fleischman, who I think was talking in that room, really like brilliant guy. He was talking about. So there was just a room talking about. It was like about just creating wealth, and he was talking about how he buys stocks and how he buys for the long term, and he doesn't sell, and and then Soldier Boy, like this super famous rapper,
was just there for literally 4 hours listening to the whole conversation.
Yeah, is in there listening, and I'm sure that he's picking up strategies from.
Of course, everybody was just so like quiet and listening, because in most rooms that you go in, it's almost like everybody wants to talk and they all want to be heard and they all have their own thing to say. In this room, it felt like everybody was just like listening to like somebody preaching like a very important thing. And Dan was talking about like investing, and like you said, he was talking about cards, which I don't invest in that. But at the same time, when I heard him speak, I was like, oh, well, that's an interesting angle that I never thought of. So I'm sure everybody in the room thought the same. So like another thing he mentioned was real estate, which, we both know that, how important it is to own some piece of real estate. But it made me think like, okay, why am I waiting for some property here or there that I want? Like I want to get one in Miami, but I want to get like the nicest one. And that's stupid of me to think like that. Like, why not get like a smaller one, 200,000-300,000, get somebody in for renting it, and then keep doing this year after year after year? Because he said you're renting one out, even if your profit is only $400, if you do that 5 times, 10 times, and then you keep adding to it, next thing you know, you will have, your own empire, and you won't have to have, he called it generational wealth, which I absolutely love. So that's what I love most about Clubhouse, that you're able to find out some information that you would usually pay thousands and thousands of dollars for. And me and you, Liran, we have paid thousands to go to these masterminds, and they're absolutely fantastic. But I feel like now, and I hope this doesn't change, but I feel like because it's new, they want to share really everything. Everybody wants to share everything. Everybody wants to know. And one thing about the followers, which I'm sure you would have got to, so how the follower thing works, and you mentioned a little bit, is you have to follow certain people if you want to see that type of content. And I think people are taking it as like, Instagram or Facebook, like, oh, if I follow this, then I'll look like I follow too many people and I won't be as cool. But I think this is reversed in Clubhouse. Like you should follow certain people. So like if you want to learn about like maybe PPC or investing or something, like people should follow you. If they want to learn more about music, they should follow, maybe a music producer. But it's who you follow that will like unlock certain rooms for you, not necessarily unlock, but
you'll discover them.
Yes, if you follow the right people, then you will see the rooms that they participate in, and it's absolutely genius. And you're right about spending hours. Like I was on it yesterday, I think maybe total like 8 hours. It's embarrassing to say, but like I'll put it on and then I'll do some work and
Yes, that's a nice thing. Like when I was listening last night, I was going through like my email, so like I have it, I'm kind of listening in the background. And then in some other rooms, like when I'm not just like an audience member listening and I'm more actively participating, maybe I'm paying more attention, but you can kind of listen in the background. You can also get out of the app and do other things. And it's not like, it's not like Facebook where you have to be in the app in order to participate. You can be outside of the app on your phone doing other things. You could be on doing other stuff. So I like that about it. And from what I heard, from what someone told me about the app, is that they don't plan to monetize it with ads. They plan to monetize it either as a subscription or a fee to pay to develop groups or something like that. But it'll be interesting to see as it develops. Just to give you some idea about the company, I looked up the company. They raised, they launched only in like March. They apparently only have like 8 employees. They're at about 800,000 members. They're planning to hit 1 million by the end of the year, and they raised $12 million at $100 million valuation already. You know, yeah, it's a great kind of ripe target to be bought out by like a Facebook or a company like that at some point. But yeah, pretty. I think it's
we'll see if Facebook can buy more companies. We'll see how that goes. I don't know if they'll even.
The government would allow them to.
Yeah, but I think you're right in the valuation, and I would honestly totally invest in this. I mean, it's just like when you invest in stocks that you love and you use, like I can see how addicting this can be, almost in a good way, but at the same time, not socially necessarily in a good way, because then you're going to spend up all your time there. Like at some point I was like, when are we supposed to get any work done? Because another thing about Clubhouse is nothing is recorded. So, like on Facebook, you can go to groups and you can search like, oh, what did Liran say 2 weeks ago about this particular thing? Yep. Here, if you're not in, you're done. You're missing out, right? So even for me, I saw like different rooms and I was like, oh my God, like Perry's in this one, this guy's in this one. Like you want to participate in all of them. You can only do one. And you cannot record it either. There's actually, I don't know if you saw in one of the updates, it said that like if you record it, like it will let, I think, the admin or the moderator know that you're recording. So you can't really do that. I mean, of course, there's ways for you to record it, just not directly on the phone. But that's the thing. It's like, they were talking yesterday about investing in stocks and different modalities to do that. You can't even go to sleep because you want to like finish listening. And I was like, oh my God, like I need to get some sleep. So that's one thing about this. It's addicting in that way, especially for entrepreneurs. Like we're so hungry for knowledge. We're hungry to know what's next. And just like you see, like look in our community, like how many people are like, how do I get an invite? How do I get in? How do I get in? And they created this like FOMO around it. And I think they're going to do a huge IPO, and I'm definitely going to invest.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be successful. It's already, I think, one of the top apps in the App Store, and yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think eventually they will have recordings and things more.
Maybe that's a way to monetize it. Maybe
there could be maybe where they make members. Maybe they'll have a subscription for members or for creators or. I think it'll be interesting, and I mean, for me, it's also like, it's a great way. I think it's a great way to network with people because I've already messaged. There was a guy who said he won like one of the Shopify contests one year, one of the Shopify awards and contests, and he was on. I went to his profile. I reached out to him on his Instagram DM and spoke to him about coming on my podcast, for example. Right, that's a person that normally I wouldn't be able to go and kind of connect with, and I think that's the advantage of what you want to do, right? Like there's no way to DM people within the app, but the app allows you to kind of connect your Twitter or Instagram account to it. You can also obviously list it in your profile, and then maybe taking some relationships sort of to other platforms. And what I love about it is that it allows you to like, so in a certain way, like sort of eavesdrop on conversations that other people are having that, you normally wouldn't be able to be in a room with, certain people just hanging out and talking, especially early as it just like, develops. I think it's a great opportunity. And then, it'll be interesting to see how it develops from like, will there be, how will people use it? Will people use it for selling their products for e-commerce, or like, how will it get utilized in the future? It'll be interesting.
but I can see how like people are monetizing it already. So in different rooms that I've been in, the same thing, just like you mentioned, people are reaching out to other people, including myself. Like I heard this guy talk a few days in different rooms and he absolutely blew my mind. So I reached out to him and, I talked to him a little bit. He's like, let's get on a call. We got on a call and, going forward, I may do some work with him. And you're right. You can create some connections that you wouldn't have had. Like, when would I have met this person? Impossible, right? Because he's not in Amazon and I'm not into whatever he's doing, but he has something that I need. He has some type of knowledge that I am in need of. And like you said, with the Shopify guy, and that's a lot of people. And again, I think it's because it's so new. People are just so excited about this. That is like the perfect time to take advantage of this. Like you will message people and you will hear people say, oh, I'm doing like 100 million a year. Oh, just message me. Like, I'll tell you about this. And they're just so freely giving out all this information. And, they want these people to know who they are. I mean, maybe sometimes selfishly, maybe not, but it doesn't matter. It's there.
I think also like, at a certain point, you become successful enough where you don't really like, you just want to help other people, right? Like you don't really care. Like you're not competing with these people for the same dollars, and like, I think so, at least I got the sense from like Dan Fleischman yesterday, right? Like he was just there giving advice. Like the guy is, it sounded like very, very successful and, was kind of just like.
I think we saw him speak at one of the events last year.
It's very possible because his name, picture, whatever, like I know I've seen it before.
Maybe he was even at SellerCon, if I'm not mistaken. But I know we did. I know we saw him.
Or ClickFunnels, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But a very, very smart guy. And again, another thing is because it's not DMing, it's nothing like that. People actually have to talk continuously. So, when you're not forced, but when you do that, like you will end up really giving out a lot of information. And these people just really, really love doing it. And you will do the same. And I'm sure like you'll be hosting rooms where you'll just really give everything because it's a sharing platform. Like it really, really is. And to go back to what you said, like these people have already made their fortune. Like they have more free time than all of us. A lot people think, oh, that person is unreachable because he's making 100 million a year. I could never reach out to him. He's probably so busy. These people are the ones that have the most time in the world. Like seriously, Perry Belcher is there every single day. I log in the morning, he's there. I go to sleep at night, he's there. And that guy is one of the smartest that I've met, and we met him at the same time actually. When we went to War Room. And just this is the kind of people that you can have access to. And my advice will be like, if you do meet somebody, if you see somebody that you are, in awe of, like send them a message, send them a DM. What's the worst that can happen? They won't answer. Okay, so what? But if you do this like 10, 20 times every week, imagine your success rate. Like the first person that I messaged, he responded. And I even said, I am so like almost in shock that you responded. Like you must be this and this and this. And he's like, no, I have all the free time in the world.
I also think that, if you really want to use the platform to do a number of things, to network, to monetize, to whatever you want to do, then you need to go from being in the audience to being on stage or to creating a room or to sharing. And I think that's going to be your best ability to, connect with other people or, gain followers and network and build relationships that, may help you in your business. And everybody watching this likely has a good amount of like knowledge related to Amazon or e-commerce that you can go on there and create a room, and there's going to be plenty of people that maybe don't depending on what you want to do and what you want to use it for. But I think if you want to network, you want to speak in the rooms and go from just like a listener to kind of an active participant. And it's also a great way to just mastermind with other people. You can create a room, you can create private rooms, right? And so it's almost like, to me, a better version of doing conference calls, right? You can create a private room, invite several people in there, and just do private call. You can host weekly masterminds. There's a lot that you can do with it, outside of the maybe more traditional way. So yeah, I really like the platform. The other thing, somebody said to me about why they liked it is like, when you're on Facebook or some of these other platforms, there's a lot of keyboard warriors, right? People that haters or whatever, right? That will like, or not, or whatever, right? People that just like to argue for the sake of arguing. Now, if you want to do that with somebody, you have to actually talk and say it. And I think that's a little bit different. And,
Yeah, it is a little bit different. Yeah, you were right. Like and I think that's what gives this app such a beautiful color. Like people just freely speak, and they're usually just so thankful that they're getting all this information that you're not gonna find somebody like, oh, you know what, I don't like what you said. Like people are actually going to take what you said and think about it. Wow, like I haven't thought of that angle. I love that. And one thing that you mentioned about, people practicing speaking, like this is what a wonderful opportunity. Like you just open a room like with 2-3 of your friends or whoever you want, and then you'll just notice people trickling in the room and listening to you, and it just gives that feeling of like, oh my God, like you do have something to share. We all have something to share. We're all experts in what we do, and it's just a beautiful thing. And I think because people are not trying to monetize it, like they're just giving out all this wealth of knowledge, like you feel even more impressed, and you want to message these people. So even this guy that I messaged, like he wasn't selling anything, but really they're selling without selling. So,
right.
This guy is going to make a lot of money with me, and he never even tried to sell. But that's the beauty of it. So like if you have a course, or if you're thinking of having something like that in the future, that's definitely one way to monetize it.
I think for e-commerce, actually, where this will come in, and I went into a room yesterday that was about influencers and brand partnerships. Okay, I saw this room name, and there was a whole bunch of people there that are influencers. Like they have good followings on Instagram and other platforms, and they want to learn how can they partner with brands. Well, all of us here, right?
Yes.
Like, all of us watching here are like you can literally create a room with the same topic, connecting with influencers, brands connecting with influencers, and you'll start to attract both brands and influencers into the room. And like, this is where you can make great, connections on partnering with people that have a following, but don't really are looking to monetize that following, and I was exactly in that room, and this woman was giving, I look at it like it's, for e-commerce sellers, you have to like reach out to influencers and try to get them to see if you can make a partnership. And actually influencers have the same struggle. Like, this woman was giving advice to another woman that was on there. She had 19,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty good, but she considered herself a micro influencer at 19,000, which like to me is pretty decent following.
Especially if it's a true following.
An engaged following, yeah, an engaged and true following. And she said there, look, just reach out to brands, just send them a message, and like, they'll probably want to work with you, right? And like, you can actually come in and try to make some connections there, and even partner. You can create partnerships on a brand with, if there's an influencer in the beauty space, you go create a beauty product and partner on it together, or just reach out and find a way to, pay them for traffic they send you. And I think that's an amazing way to find people to partner with, to find influencers for your, for your brand. Like if you're in the beauty space, I would create a room like, beauty influencers or something, and brands, right? And like, you'll start to attract those people that are interested in that topic into the room. And I think there's, great ways you can monetize that. So
I love that. I'm glad you brought that up, because there's just so many ways to really make this worth it. And it might not be like monetary right away, but imagine like, just because we're all like in the Amazon space here, imagine if you are, planning to launch a product like 6 months from now. What if you start creating that community now? Like every day you go in and, don't expect to get like 100 people. Like, what if you get one person a day? Like that's one person a day for the next 6 months. That's unbelievable. That's amazing. And like you said, if you find somebody that has like 10,000 followers or 20,000, even though it might sound little, those are actually the best one, guys, because one, they won't cost as much as somebody with 100,000 and 200 who their ego is already like up in the sky. It will be there will be so much more relatable, and they will appreciate the fact that you're reaching out to them. There's a million of them and only one of you. Like,
yeah,
people
no,
don't realize that.
and I think it's gonna be, I think it's a great way for business to business relationships to develop, because I see that right now is like as I look through like the people that are on there and I look through their profiles, there's a lot of, either business owners or aspiring business owners or influencers, and at least right now on the platform, kind of early, is kind of what I see. And I think I think the opportunity is, not to go sell your new product on the platform, but to go and find the 10 influencers that are going to partner with you to launch your product, when it goes live. And I think there's great opportunity to try to create those relationships. And when you send that message to somebody on Instagram and you say, hey, I saw you in Clubhouse in this room, right? Aren't they going to be much more likely to respond to you and than just like a message that isn't like personal. I know, like for me, when I get invites on LinkedIn, right? Like whenever I see somebody doing this, I'm like, oh, it's pretty clever. Like they'll say, hey, I heard you on this podcast, would love to connect. Versus if I just get an invite for some random person I think is probably only likely trying to sell me something, that I won't accept it. But if they mention something personal, it's like, okay, they got you, right? Like you're gonna accept it. And I think it's a great way to network, and yeah, I think for e-commerce brand owners, you can go find influencers there that you can work with to to promote your products.
And you may be able to find even future partners in businesses, and you may even move into different directions that you thought of at the beginning of the year. Like you might find somebody that will take you in a completely different direction when it comes to business. Like now I want to do so many things. Like, I still love Amazon, but like my eyes are open. I want to try this and I want to try this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, there's just so much more out there, and you are able to find these connections. And like you said, Liran, I love what you said, make sure that you personalize it a little bit. Like if you hear somebody talking on Clubhouse in this room, say, hey, I heard you when you said that you should open an LLC. I never thought of it. Just giving an example rather than just like, oh, I heard you on Clubhouse. Like mention something to them, because it will make them respond. Like the same thing that I did with this person. Like I said something like, oh, I heard you talk about this, and I really think this. And he's like, oh, wow, like you were paying attention without really saying it. But it will definitely, the opening rate for that message will be definitely more successful than just, because these people will start getting 100 messages, and you may be the only one that they open it because of what you said. So take advantage of it, but be strategic about it, and make sure you personalize it a little bit. I love it. I think it's going to be really good for us. I just don't know like if we're going to get tired of it, because like after a while yesterday I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I don't want to touch it for a while.
I mean, I think you'll see the engagement rates, higher, like during the weekend or evening or whatever, right? Like I think you're going to see like probably greater engagement rates. But yeah, it's one of those things that like you can have on in the background, or if you want to go spend 30 minutes or an hour, go on and just kind of scroll through and see what's interesting. And just like anything else, I think you can probably spend too much time there. But I think also if you use it strategically, you can go and learn. Like, for me, maybe instead of going to listen to a podcast, right? If there's an interesting room, I might go listen. I look at it a lot in the same way, like where I might be listening to a podcast while I'm doing something, then I might go in and listen to, a conversation in a room it's kind of like an interactive version or a live podcast in some way if you just want to be in the audience. But you can also have sort of live participation and asking questions. And I think it's interesting. I was in a room yesterday that I became, somebody added me as a moderator, and it was like an Amazon, sort of like grow your business on Amazon or something. And there were people that are like, Yeah, I was just like for the first time like this weekend looking up on like how to make money on Amazon. It's like that again. That person I would never probably reach on another platform, and you can and not to monetize, just like interesting to interact with and get a pulse of like what's happening in various marketplaces. And then there's things that I'm interested in that that there's like people that are venture capitalists and investors and like things that I want to learn more about that I can kind of follow and eavesdrop. I may not be a active participant in that, but I can go eavesdrop and learn what they're talking about. So yeah, it's
There's so many people that we would have never met before. That's what I love most about this. And I'm sure there's ways that you can like even start monetizing it. Like there was this one guy who was actually sitting in rooms taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
And how amazing is that? Like he wasn't charging money, but he said, he does it based on donations. Like if you go there and you just listen to like 5 hours of Dan Fleshman and you want the notes for it, if
Right.
he was in it, are you not going to pay like 10, 20, 50, $100? You would.
Yeah.
Imagine people doing that 800 times or however many people were in that room. So if you are like clever and try to find ways that you can, I saw this people like doing the little pictures now, like maybe I didn't check this, but I'm sure maybe on Fiverr, if you go, you can find like personalized Clubhouse like pictures or something. I don't know, but there's so many ways.
Or you can sell invites on Reddit.
That's one way to make money. But let me see if I can. I don't know if I can show this to people. I don't know. So these are like the rooms, and then so this one is like on whatever that topic is. I can't really see it, but these are the rooms, and then whichever one you want to go to, you would just click on it, and you see how many people are attending each of these rooms, and you can start your own room. And you can add people. Like if me and Liran want to do a room together, then we'll just like schedule it for whatever time, and then people will join. And it's very important to have like a very catchy name, so something that will attract people. But I think we should even do like a case study on this, Liran, if you want. Like let's just do like an influencer branding or whatever, and just see like how many people join and the questions that are asked. I think it's going to be really fun.
Yeah, no, I think I really like the platform, and I think a lot of people also are. There's a lot of people that wouldn't want to get on camera. I feel like that are on other platforms that wouldn't want to. They don't want to go on Facebook Live, or they don't want to go on other platforms because they're camera shy. But you kind of don't deal with that with any of those like self insecurities or whatever when you're on audio only. So. I see it as like a next level version of like a LinkedIn, like in terms of like business to business kind of platform. And there is an explore button too that you can kind of just find more rooms. Like once you kind of pass your rooms of people you follow, and they're very diverse topics. I learned about Damon John was in a room yesterday. Talking about snitches, and I learned all about snitches, and that was it was a lot of diverse topics on there.
But what's impressive is that actually that caught your eye, and you really wanted to participate in it and learn about this. That's what impresses me most right now.
Yeah,
that's the topic that you wanted to end 2020 with. It's
my high level of interest in snitches, especially when Damon John is in the room. And actually, I'll tell you what the discussion was about. The discussion was about, they're talking about, people in, I guess, like, African American community, like whether or not what it's like to know somebody is doing something wrong, maybe committing crime or something, and like the ethics of whether or not you say something or not, right? Which is kind of like an interesting topic. And one guy was saying like, we're the first ones to, we're the first ones to kind of denounce the police when they do something wrong. But when somebody in our community does something wrong, we don't say anything, right? Like we're taught not to say anything. And it was actually just like an interesting conversation, right? But the room caught my eye because the topic was snitches, right? But like these are actually like real topics people are talking about. And you
can literally create a topic on anything.
Yeah,
on anything.
can create a topic on anything. So yeah, I thought it was interesting. There's some comedy kind of. I went into one room, and when I came into the room, the guy invited me, and right away on stage, he's like, "Hey, here's what we're serving tonight. You can choose between this food and this food, and by the way, for toppings, we're already out of this and this. And what would you like on your topping? It was just like a fun thing. It was
that's cute.
It was kind of like just like.
So what did you choose?
Okay, so let's. So this was a Jewish. So this was Jewish people on Christmas, right? So it was called. So like, okay, so one thing in like New York and other major cities, that like some Jewish people will have these, like, they'll go to clubs or whatever, and they'll call it like a matzah ball. Okay, it's like a party, because they want to do something on Christmas, and they want to party on Christmas, but like it's not Christmas. So the guy said, you can come into the room and you can have a matzo ball or a latke, right? Latke is like a Jewish potato fried.
I know.
And like a traditional thing that you would have on it is like sour cream or applesauce, okay, that people have on it.
Mm-hmm.
So he was like, sour cream and applesauce is already out, so you had to come up with something creative, that you would want. And people are like caviar and like all this kind of cool stuff. But yeah, so that was the choice. And then people were getting kind of comedic about it. Somebody was like, I'm from Austin, so I only want, gluten-free, plant-based, this and that and whatever. Do you have that? And they're like, yeah, I think we can make that. And it was just whatever. It was just a social, kind of setting. So
it was a lot of people in that room too, huh? A lot of people didn't have anywhere to go for Christmas.
Yeah, and also, like, I was in another room where somebody was saying, like, yeah, a lot of people are lonely right now. It's holidays, whatever. Like, they may not be able to travel. Ping your friends, have them join in the room. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool platform.
I love it. I know we spoke the whole time about it and nothing about our 2021 goals. So do you want to end with something inspirational for our listeners? Maybe something that they can look forward to. Maybe some predictions. Whatever you want. Just the floor is yours.
Well, yeah. Okay. So one thing that I'm going to do in the next week, and I typically will do every year, and maybe at different points in the year, is write down your vision for 2021. I think they say, man plans and God laughs, right? So like, not everything is necessarily going to come to fruition, but sometimes you look back at like what you wrote down, and you look back and you're shocked to see that like some of it came to be. And I think by writing down, you're taking something that's in your head and you're making it physical. And when you make something physical, you're kind of wiring your brain to take action to get closer to it, right? It's not magic, but when you put something down in writing, you are more likely to take action to get there. One thing I heard actually somebody say was, write down all the things for 2021 that you want to be, but also write down all the things for 2021 that you don't want to be. Right? So you don't want to be maybe a procrastinator, or maybe you don't want to be like, there's certain things that you don't want to be. And I think making that list of things you want to be for 2021, things you don't want to be for 2021. I read a post of somebody in a Facebook group, and it was like their first, kind of year of selling on Amazon. And they said at the beginning of the year, they wrote down a goal. They want to get to selling $10,000 a month. And then they made a post, and literally they hit $10,001, for December, right? And like, just again, it's I don't think it's the, I don't think, and the other lesson is kind of go big, right? Like, there's a quote in the book. I think it's in Think and Grow Rich or something. There's like a poem in the beginning of the book, and it's something like, I asked for life for a penny, and like I got it, right? And if only I would have asked for more, like I should have asked for more, right? So it's like, make your goals bigger also, for 2021, and you'll be surprised maybe at what you can achieve by making them a little bit of unrealistic, and
because we tend to limit ourselves in that way. Like, if you're making a wish, make sure that wish is something that it's almost unachievable. That's what makes it a wish, right? Like, if you ask somebody, hey, what do you want? And they say, like 100,000, like, it's a wish. Like, why not
Yeah.
make it 1 million or 10 or whatever you want?
I think we're so wired to be afraid of failure,
Mhm.
that sometimes we're afraid to write down like a big sort of audacious type of goal, because like what if we don't make it? But like they say,
You do.
you shoot for the moon, and if you shoot for the
Right.
moon, maybe you'll land on the stars or something, right? Like you want to try to kind of set big goals, and if you don't make it, like big deal, but like chances are you might be able to push yourself a little bit harder for the year. So yeah, and I think 2021 has a lot of opportunity for those of us that are in the e-commerce space. I think you should consider yourself lucky to be in this space that allows you to that's growing, at rapid pace, and you have the knowledge to kind of participate in it.
I love that. And one thing I would add to that, to the list of like things that you want to be, make sure you attach that with a feeling. So, try to make it more realistic than just like, oh, I want to have a Bentley. I want to do this. How do you feel? Like, how would you be feeling in that moment? Like maybe for somebody's like, oh, finish my master's degree or my PhD or whatever. What does that feeling feel like? And once you attach that feeling to that wish, in my case, it usually has a better chance of coming true, because you're almost telling your body and your soul and your mind that this already happened. So when that happens, then it's almost like you have no more resistance to it. Just like you said, we're so wired to like, have like very low esteem or low beliefs. But if you, in your head and in your heart, you already feel like, oh my God, like I already achieved this. I'm already, like, next thing you know, you already have it because you already have the feeling. We always try to like get more money and get more things to get us to that point where we're happy. But what if we reverse engineer? What if we're happy first? How many good things are going to come from it? Because you already have the feeling that you were shooting for anyway. So just play with that idea.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice.
Thank you. I learned from you.
Well, we learned from Tony Robbins, who went to last year, or almost at this time in November. But I think that's a lot of what he says is, attaching a feeling to attaching a state, right? Like a state. And yeah, I think you need to be, I think in order to have kind of great things, you need to be grateful first, right? In order to achieve certain things, you need to feel like you've already achieved it, which is all sort of like the secret and Think and Grow Rich and all that, right? Is like you need to
sitting right here on my desk.
Yes. Oh yeah, I have I'm pretty sure I have the same exact.
Yeah, I got the nice copy just because it's really like my Bible, this book, guys. It's really good. It helped me a lot.
Yeah, and I think one thing to think about is be do have, instead of like trying to to have something so I can be, like I want to have money so I can be successful.
Yes.
You want to be, you want to feel like you are already successful, and then what is successful
In
people.
order to have.
So I think asking yourself, who do I want to be? What do people like that do? And then you'll have kind of what people that are successful have. So kind of reverse, like you said, already having the feeling. Something I heard this year is like be do have. Okay, if I want to be successful, what do successful people do? And then I'll have what those things are. So
yeah, and it's really possible for everyone. I mean, we thank God we have such easy access to knowledge. Like, there's YouTube videos, there's podcasts, there's us in the community. There's just so much that you can, like, I wish, looking back, like in my past, I wish I would have had something like this. I wish I would have had people that I could model, that I could learn from. And because I didn't, it took me 20 years. to get here. But what if, first thing when I came to US, if I had somebody telling me these things, or have somebody to model, but I didn't. It was just me by myself, and I had to do it. I don't regret it, because everything happened the way it should. But I'm looking at somebody that's like 21 years old right now, 22, 23, and I even see some in the Amazon community, and I'm just in awe, like, oh my God, like how amazing that you're starting now and you get to learn all of these. And even in Clubhouse, like there's people who are like super young and they're just soaking up all this information. Like how lucky are they? So what are your prediction for 2021? I know we went a little bit over time. What do you think is going to happen as far as like the world opening up, maybe Amazon wise and all of that?
Well, I think the world opening up will be maybe second half of the year. I think whatever you believe about the vaccine, I know everyone has different opinions on it, but probably it'll roll out and across the world. And I would say sometimes towards the second half of the year, you'll see kind of things that are hopefully getting back where people can travel. And so I think second half of the year for that. I think in terms of in terms of Amazon, I think it's just going to continue to grow. I think there's going to be more opportunities for people to be able to grow their business, to exit their business. I think you need to both. I think it's both an opportunity, and you have to kind of step up your game too, because it's also more competitive. So I think investing into your listing, investing into your products, into your branding, into your packaging, all those things I think are gonna count also.
Awesome. So maybe Canton Fair next year?
Next fall, yeah. I think it'll happen. I think it will happen live probably next fall. I'd be surprised if it happened live in April or.
No, I don't think so. I honestly I don't think it would even open for a few years, but I love Canton, and I hope what you said is true, and I hope we see a change with that. I just feel like there's a lot of like blame going on, and with China, and I don't know how this will actually impact Amazon sellers actually in the long run. So if you are the type of person that's looks into the future and tries to diversify, I would say maybe now it's a good time to start looking into diversifying where your suppliers are from, just so you're never stuck in a situation where all your products are made in China. And then what if, hopefully nothing ever happens. Hopefully everything comes back to normal. But if it was me, I would start looking at other countries, and maybe why not here in US? I mean, we are the greatest country in the world. Why can't we bring all this back and, make some money in this country? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think a lot of sellers would love to diversify out of China. I don't think it's so easy, but I think you've seen like I've seen sellers go to like Vietnam, go to Mexico, Taiwan, and make products there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see also what happens. Like, will Biden roll back tariffs, because actually tariffs are more the idea of like tariffs are actually more of a left leaning kind of a thing than a Republican thing. So it'll be interesting to see if tariffs on China get rolled back or not with Biden, or if things will stay the same. But yeah, I mean, I think a year from now, hopefully this whole COVID thing is kind of behind us. I know certain countries, and I already know people that have gotten the vaccine in the US and overseas, and hopefully 2021 has a lot less death as a result.
Yeah. Very well said, my friend. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for coming here today. You're amazing.
On the note of death, we can end the conversation.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, thanks for having me.
It's only natural, That's one thing we can avoid, right?
Yeah. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. And yeah, wish everybody amazing 2021.
Thank you. I wish you the same, and to all of our listeners. And again, thank you, Danny, for giving us room on his platform to share our voices and our ideas.
Are you going to continue doing this in 2021?
It's possible that yes, I will be doing this.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well,
Thank
yeah.
you so much. Bye, Liran, and
Thank
bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.